Hi, this is Dr. Barbara Young. I am so excited to be here, and you're looking at Transformation Success Television Network. And today we are featuring a very, very distinguished and honored guest. So I'm happy to have on our show today the renowned and famous Mr. Les Brown. Hi, Les. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. It's always a treat when great people meet.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes.
I like that kind of response. Mm-hmm. You know, Les, a lot of listeners may not know who you are, and viewers. So I want you to sort of share just who is Les Brown.
I'm a combination of stuff. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called La Vida City, an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. I'm on this program because of two women. One gave me life, and the other one gave me love. I always say when I speak that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So she adopted my twin brother and I when we were 6 weeks of age, and she was a domestic worker on Miami Beach. And she worked for wealthy families. She cooked for them, and we ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for.
That should have been good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she kept their children, and we wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that she kept. And my vision as a kid was, Mama, what is it, Leslie? When I become a man, I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home just like this. Altogether, my mother, she adopted 7 children, and I was among the 7. And that was a driving force in my life. And when I was in the 5th grade, I was labeled educable mentally retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. I failed again when I was in the 8th grade. I have no college training, but I met this high school teacher who had very much a personality like yours. His name was Leroy Washington. I eulogized him last year. And I was in his class waiting on another student. He said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. I said, oh, I can't do that, sir. And he said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's a twin. He's Leslie, but his twin brother Wesley is smart. He's DT. And he said, what's DT? And they said, he's the dumb twin, and erupted in laughter.
Wow.
And I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
Absolutely.
And that literally was a turning point in my life. As you know, how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves.
Absolutely.
And he interrupted that story that I saw myself after being called the dumb twin. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing, even if it's a lie.
That's right.
That he interrupted that story.
Right.
And as a result, it caused me to really see the value of something he told me. He said, if you want to become successful, young man, he said, number 1, transform your mindset. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Number 2, upgrade your relationships. Practice OQP, only quality people.
Yes, love
and the
that.
third thing he said, develop the ability to communicate, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. And I've been practicing that, and now, in this stage of my life, I've been training and speaking for over 47 years. And now, at age 72, and I used to think people in their 40s were old. Now that I'm 72, I feel I was a waiter at the Lord's Supper. So now, I'm training people how to tell their story, how to speak to the world, how to speak for corporations and organizations, but most importantly, also how to dramatically change people's lives individually and collectively by how you tell your story and how to get paid. Because there's no such thing as job security today. I mean, thousands, millions of people are losing their jobs because of technology, robots and artificial intelligence. So people literally have to become entrepreneurial and reinvent themselves.
I think it's a wonderful story. I just have this burning question because it always, for me to ask people, how did you know, or when did you know that this was a calling that you had on your life?
I just discovered, I would say, oddly enough, in the last 3 years.
Really?
In the last 3 years. It took me 14 years to do this because I remember my mentor. His name is Mike Williams. He's been my mentor for 47 years, and he was my newsman. and he talked to me in between records and saying, "You're more than a disc jockey." And he said, "Brownie, do you know why you go see Zig Ziglar and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale?" And I said, "Yes, because I love motivational messages." He says, "No." He said, "Because that's in you. You like to help people." And I said, "Mike, I never worked for a major corporation. I don't have a college education. Who would pay to hear me like they pay to hear them? I don't have the ability to do that. I can't compete with people with PhDs and MBAs." And he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Brownie, all of us are born the same way. Dumb, naked, and speechless. You can learn." You know?
Yes.
And so it took him 14 years to convince me.
14 years.
14 years I didn't do it. And I just didn't think I was good enough. And that's the one regret I have in my life. But I was at an event, and a guy was speaking, and I felt he was talking to me, even though there was 5,000 people there. And he stopped his speech, and he said, "There's somebody here who loves to do this, who loves to change lives."
Oh, wow.
He said, "I love to make money." He said, "I've earned over $10 million. He said, "But you know who you are, and you've convinced yourself that you can't do this." And then he started talking again, and then he stopped. He said, "Oh, and by the way, and you know who you are." He said, "The reason I'm standing up here holding this microphone and you're seated out there," he said, "I represent the thoughts you have rejected for yourself."
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, that just hit me right between the eyes. I got up, I went outside. You can make a telephone call for a dime. And I called Mike Williams, who wrote the book, The Road to Your Best Stuff. I wrote the foreword for it. I said, "Mike," he said, "Brownie, what's wrong?" I said, "I'm not disapproving of myself anymore. I'm approving myself. I'm going to speak. I'm going to change lives. I can do this, Mike. I can do this. Mike, do you hear me?" He said, "You're speaking to the choir." I've been telling you that for 14 years. I said, "Well, you could come help me?" And he said, "Yes." And I believe, ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong, and ask for help and don't stop until you get it. So he flew down and he worked with me. He's a strategist. That's why he wrote the book, The Road to Your Best Stuff. And the rest is history. I've spoken for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, General Electric. If people go online and put in Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome, they'll see me speaking to over 80,000 people.
That's really something that you never ever thought. This little boy right there at Miami Beach, and with a woman who adopted you and your brother.
She only had a third grade education, but she had a PhD in motherhood.
Well, that is wonderful. You know, this lets me, and I hope I'm not going to embarrass you, Hammond, but I would love for you to share your experience with something that he impressed upon you, because I think it's important, and we'll share that because we're transparent here.
Absolutely.
So you may want to share the impact that you
over
had
the last few weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe start about a month ago, I started getting emails from Les Brown Institute.
Yes.
So I was getting emails, and it was just emails of just sharing about value, the greatness within you, and there was one that came this week. The day that we were actually had planned to schedule this interview, and I got it, and it was just, you know how just something jumps off the page.
Yes,
and
that speech jumped off to me,
and it dropped into my spirit. I do have a message, and I said, "Lord, what can I say?" He said, "Your mess is your message, son."
Yes.
So you have a story. And so I was convincing myself, like you were so many years ago to Mike, I was convincing myself, self-talking, looking at my Mac, saying, "I can do this. I can do this. I know there's greatness within me," and I know it was just electrifying. And just by reading that one email and some things you said,
and because your life is in that place. Maya Angelou said something I believe very much. She said, "There's nothing as painful as an untold story buried in your soul."
That's right. Absolutely.
Because I believe that we all have an energy signature. There are certain people, when I speak, I'm going to reach them.
Right.
There are some people that when you speak, you're going to reach them. Some will hear both of us.
Right.
But there are some that will just hear you, not just in their ears, but in their heart.
Right.
What we do when we speak. And when I train speakers, I tell them that the key to becoming successful, when I got into the speaking industry, Zig Ziglar, Dr. Norman, Vincent Peale, Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins, all these guys had memorized scripts. And you have to remember what that script is. You got to speak from your head.
Right.
I train speakers how to speak extemporaneously, to speak from your heart, because words spoken from the heart enters the heart.
Yes.
And what we do, the process is that the Bible of the self-development industry has been Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, right.
I've never read that book because he never interviewed anybody of color. You know, I have the complexion of rejection. He had the complexion of connection. You're right, being accepted. All right, so he couldn't advise me on how to become successful.
Yes.
A full belly man could never talk to an empty belly man. All right, I had an empty belly that was growling. All right. However, when we speak, as this program here is designed, remember, how people live their lives are the result of the story they believe about themselves. So when you have guests, when you and your son are together with guests, what you do is distract, dispute, and inspire.
Yes.
You distract them from their story.
Yes.
And through your guests talking about the things that they did to overcome the challenges they're facing,
Yes.
you dismantle their current belief system because of your wisdom, because of your experiences, the things that you've gone through, and said, I'm still here.
Yes.
In spite of, I'm still standing.
here.
And distract, dispute, and inspire them, as I love to say, to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter with their lives.
That's beautiful.
So the key is not just providing information, because if information could change people, they can Google that.
Right.
If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. You have to create an experience with your story, and that's how I train speakers, because Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was.
That's true. That is so true. This has been wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed this. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back with the renowned, my friend now, Les Brown. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you.